When you get into a car, buckling your seatbelt is the first thing you do. It's not just a legal requirement. It's one of the most basic things you can do to protect yourself in a crash. But on a train, there are no seatbelts. Not in commuter trains. Not in high-speed trains. Not even in the most advanced rail systems that travel over 150 miles per hour. And yet, we ride in them freely. We stand up. We walk around. We sleep, eat, or just stare out the window. So how is this possible? Is train travel really that safe? Or is the lack of seatbelts a huge oversight? To understand this, we need to look at how physics works in a crash. In a car, when you suddenly stop, your body wants to keep moving. That's inertia. Without a seatbelt, you'd be thrown forward, sometimes through the windshield. The seatbelt exists to absorb that energy and keep you restrained. But trains are different. A typical passenger train can weigh over 1,000 pounds. And because of that massive weight, trains decelerate much more slowly than cars in the event of a crash. The impact is spread out over a longer time. This means that passengers don't experience the same violent jolt they would in a car accident. The forces acting on the body are significantly lower. But that's only part of the story. In most serious train accidents, injuries and fatalities aren't caused by passengers being thrown from their seats. They're caused by cars collapsing, derailing, tipping over, or catching fire. And here's where it gets surprising. In these situations, wearing a seatbelt could actually be dangerous. Imagine a derailed train car on its side, filling with smoke. If you're strapped in, you might not be able to escape. Rescue workers would have to cut people free, delaying evacuations. In these cases, seatbelts don't save lives. They make things worse. There's also the issue of how train seats are built. In most trains, seats aren't mounted to the floor the same way as in cars. They can shift or detach during impact. That makes any seatbelt attached to them completely useless. Plus, trains are designed for movement. Passengers walk to the dining car. They use restrooms. Some stand in the aisles. You can't put a seatbelt on everyone at all times. Yes, there are a few exceptions. Some high-speed trains in Europe and Asia have seatbelts in first class or specific seats. But even then, they're optional and rarely used. The seats are reinforced differently, and passengers are better informed. But it's still not the norm. Then there's the psychological side. People feel safe on trains, and they should. Statistically, train travel is one of the safest forms of transportation on Earth. In the United States, the fatality rate for passenger train travel is more than 200 times lower per mile than car travel. And in Europe, the average number of rail passenger deaths per year is in the single digits, despite hundreds of millions of trips. So if we suddenly decided to install seatbelts on every train, what would happen? Who would enforce their use? What about people standing, walking, or using the restroom? What about elderly or disabled passengers? And what would happen in an emergency where evacuation needs to happen fast? The truth is, train seatbelts aren't missing because engineers forgot about safety. They're missing because they're not practical. And in some scenarios, they're actually more dangerous. From the physics of impact, to the realities of how people use trains, to the raw safety data, everything points to the same conclusion. Seatbelts on trains simply don't make sense. So the next time you step onto a train and notice there's no seatbelt, don't panic. It's not a design flaw. It's a safety decision. And for now, it's the right one. Subscribe us for more videos.